thanks for coming out. My name's Don Kearney. I'm the Director of Parks and Rec. It's great to see a lot of familiar faces out here tonight to really get some feedback and get your reaction to what is our first iteration of plans for a new clubhouse, cart storage facility, as well as a first tee building and create a home for the first tee, as well as the relocation of the Hall of Fame that's currently over at the hotel. Part of our initial thoughts about replacing the clubhouse was in 2019, if everybody remembers the fire and the cart storage shed started on fire, and then we started talking about, okay, what about the clubhouse in addition to the cart storage facility? And so over that period of time, we've been working with our finance team and our mayor and city council about trying to identify ways to advance the replacement of the cart storage facility, but also the clubhouse because of its age and obviously lacks adequate size for the events that we do out here. But also, what are the other partnership opportunities that we have to really make it a home run, so to speak, to be able to make the ultimate project something everybody can be happy with. And so during that course of time, we have talked to Tom about the Hall of Fame being relocated, visited with Julie and Dave about having a permanent place for year-round activity for the First Tee program and not crammed into a little office space, and really allow them to have a home for their year-round programming here at Elmwood. And so as a part of that process, we've developed not only the clubhouse space to accommodate the events that we're going to have here in the future with our 27-hole facility, but also how does the cart storage facility work? How can we make a home for the First Tee, and again, relocate the Hall of Fame where we think it ultimately should be, because the people that come to play obviously are going to have a greater interest in it than somebody that just happens to be traveling through town and maybe isn't a golf enthusiast. So I've got some introductions to make. We've had several people make the trip to come and participate in this open house that we have. I'd like to recognize Tom Everett. Tom is the president of Landscapes Golf Management. Tom, if you'd like to wave, thanks for being here, making the trip. Chris Jacobson. Chris is the Senior Golf Operations Manager for Landscapes. Chad Veery, you all know Chad if you play out here. Chad's our head professional. Andrew Marco, Director of Food and Bev. Andrew, thanks for being here. Kat Clark, Director of Marketing. Norm Parsons, agronomist. Or, I don't know if Norm's here or not.
There.
Oh, there you are, Norm. And Justin Arlt, you all probably know Justin as well, our market manager. And then I'd also like to introduce my staff. Mike Patton's our planning and projects manager. Tory Miedema, I think he's been in all three clubhouse projects since we moved the Prairie Green facility over to Keene and built the new one at Prairie. So he was involved in those projects as well, and he's our planning, a park development specialist. And then the Stone Group team. Stone Group is our architectural firm that was hired to design the facilities that we're going to be talking about tonight. So I'll introduce Todd Stone. Todd is the owner of Stone Group Architects. Jenna Hartman is interiors for Stone Group. And then I'm just going to call her Roz because I don't know if I can pronounce her entire first name. She's the architect on this project. So those are some of the introductions. What we want to do today is just kind of introduce you to the concepts that we've come up with for the clubhouse, cart storage, First Tee facility, the Hall of Fame, but realize that these are kind of still a work in progress. We haven't finalized the entire design, but we want to at least have an open house so that if there are any feedback or comments that we get tonight, we're able to make those adjustments if we can. But ultimately, what we'd like to be able to do is get these guys started on final design so that we can go to bid in January, start construction in the spring of next year, and then hopefully that following spring could be completely done. Our intention is to continue to operate it out of this building so that we don't have to use a trailer like we did at Prairie Green that year, which wasn't great for the staff nor our customers. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Todd to take you through the design. And then following that, we'll have these boards and we'll be staffing the boards with our staff and landscape staff so that if you have comments or questions or suggestions, we'd love to hear that feedback from you. So Todd, take it away.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it, Don. So like Don said, I'm Todd Stone with Stone Group Architects. We're going to have a little mood light here, so I was telling Tory I look better in the dark anyway. So we have a few plans and some elevations and some drawings that we want to show you. And then we have a walkthrough, a virtual walkthrough. We've also staked out the clubhouse itself out here on the putting green. So when you're done here, please feel free to go out and kind of get a feel for what that scale is. We just did the clubhouse, but you'll see on the site plan and stuff where the cart barn and where the first tee and where a lot of the other amenities are going to be what I would call end state. Okay, just to tee it up properly, this building will be here through construction, and then it'll be taken down. Okay, so operationally everything will still play the way you've known it to. There will be some inconveniences, I'm sure, but Don and Justin and everybody else that's here will do their best to minimize any of those things for you. Okay. All right, so let's dig in. We're not going to take very long. This is basically the current site plan as you see it in reference to an aerial photo with the existing facilities, parking, car paths, greens, etc. This is basically overlaid on the exact same thing to where you can see the box in red is basically right here. Okay? So the new clubhouse is going over the top of the practice green. Over here to the east slightly will be the new cart barn, and then the first tee facility is attached to the cart barn. Basic floor plans without any furniture. Again, we're going to show you the non-sexy stuff, and then we'll get to the sexy things. Reflected ceiling plans. These are just basic construction document progress drawings for you guys to understand. We are about 2/3 of the way through the design process, but tonight is your opportunity to give us some feedback, ask some questions. This is really all for you this evening, so please take advantage of that. We have thick skin. None of this is personal yet. Okay. Basically, what you're going to see here is this is part of the first tee. Through the two-dimensional stuff, now we're going to get into the fun stuff. This is basically overlaid on top of the current golf course. So you can see in this area right here is the clubhouse. And this is how it engages with the 9 green, 18 green, East 9, etc. We worked a lot with views from the pro shop over to the number 1 tee box so that basically the pro shop staff can still see everything that's going on. This is your view as you see the facility coming up off of Russell, front of the building. A lot of these views are the exact same views that are on the boards, so please, if you haven't had a chance to get up and look at those, please do. Front of the building, very prairie style. For those of you who are Frank Lloyd Wright fans, this is kind of a contemporary twist on a prairie style architectural style. From the 18th green, looking back at the outdoor patio and the rest of the campus, this is the pro shop and the 1950s style golf carts we're showing. This is basically an indoor-outdoor sitting area between the casual dining and the outdoor patio. This is a view of the indoor casual dining area or bar area, if you want to call it that. Notice the opening of the outdoors to the inside when we can take advantage of that in our South Dakota climates. Pro shop, again, as Don said, none of this is 100% locked down yet. There might be some small changes to this, but this is what we call the design intent, if that makes sense. There will be some self-check-in kiosks, and I'll let Justin and the rest of his team talk more about that if you have any questions on that. Ultimately, from 1925, I have that right? 25 or 26, Justin? 26. 1926, we want to take advantage of the 100-year anniversary, okay? Which is coming up. Going over to the first tee area, and again, Julie and Tom will be able to talk more about some of this. If you have any questions, their intent, this is the back of the first tee area, basically just adjacent to the current driving range. This is just a view of the cart barn if you were standing over by the pro shop. Inside, obviously, with the first tee area, we want this to be an active space for young children to engage, to gain the love of golf like the rest of us. And so what can we do to activate the space? You notice there will be an indoor simulator in this space, some classroom. The flooring in this will be basically putting turf, so they can use the indoor space during inclement weather or for training. Basically a big common area for them to use and have a lot of flexibility as to how they use the space. Obviously bright and colorful like you would see in any type of educational scenario. Okay, this is the fun part. This is the animation. I'll let you kind of just view this, and once this is done, we'll keep this going in a loop. And if you have any questions, then we can turn lights on and answer any of the questions you have at that time. We don't like to talk about ourselves very much. We'd rather talk about the project. So hopefully you guys have plenty of questions. As we enter the building, you're going to see that the current space just inside the front vestibule is where the new Hall of Fame will be going. Some of you know that it's over here in the hotel just adjacent to the golf course. We've been working with the Hall of Fame people, Tom and Julie and others to give the feel of this. And again, none of this is locked down, but that was for you, Julie. As you take a quick left to the west, you're going to come into the casual dining or the bar area. Again, once this project is completed, that's where I'm going to be seated. There is a banquet or event area with a folding partition, acoustical wall that can divide the two spaces if need be, if they have two different types of activities or events going on at the same time. Behind all this is the kitchen. That's kind of back of house stuff. We didn't have that in the animation, but again, there's a lot of back of house type of things that will be utilized and finished to develop, and all of that is
what direction does that face?
Right now, as you're coming around, the 18th green is just to your left.
Okay.
So the pro shop's on the ground floor though?
Everything is on one level.
And they can still see the first and 10th tee from there?
Yes.
Yep.
There's a clock there. Again, that's kind of going to be further developed. The same thing with the flagpole location. There's a lot of things for us to still fine tune. But hopefully we're doing it justice from your perspective. And the intent is to kind of berm up around the cart barn a little bit to screen that. There'll be some nice trees hiding that a little bit. So the first things you see when you come up to the front of the clubhouse is the first tee building and the clubhouse itself. Okay? Kind of common sense wayfinding, so to speak, for anybody who hasn't been here before. Again, pulling that logo for 1926 into the design to show some of that history. There will be a further developing of the retail space, so we're utilizing as much of every square inch of that as possible for add-on sales. The self-check kiosks will be kind of back on that wall or in a couple of locations. Hopefully we can give you some flexibility for those. And then this takes you back out to the front entry, and then we'll head over to the cart barn and the first tee area. Restrooms. Back outside again. Now you're looking back towards Russell. Driving range is off to the right there. Tying the architecture, the materiality, all of that from the first tee building over to the clubhouse, so it looks like it was all done at the same time, which it will be, not an afterthought. And again, the adjacency to the driving range for the first tee to use that. They also have the Ready 5 and the short little courses that they have adjacent to the parking areas. The simulator is actually right to the back here to the right. Once we get that selected, we can drop a proprietary one in there and have better views of that. And then this is going to basically take you back out and end the quick nickel tour. So like I said, we have thick skin. Please ask me any questions. This is your time. And anything I can't answer, I'll shove off to others who can, or we will find the answer for you.
In the clubhouse, how many people can you see if you're having an event? So if I have an event with 100 people,
Yep.
you have room to have a banquet afterwards, or?
Yep. Dustin, you want to handle the question in reference to like how you're going to handle that on event days and what's your capacity?
Yeah, so by design, one of the priorities was to have a specific banquet facility for the tournaments, and that's on a wing. So we will have the ability, if we have a championship, event, fundraiser like one of your 2 or 3 that you bring to us, you've got that separate space. But then while we've got golfers on the East 9, they can still come into the lounge, relax, have the opportunity to order some food and not be displaced. Right now, obviously this is what we have to do, and you've all experienced the difficulty on event days and the fact that you get displaced. So the goal is the functionality and efficiency of the design incorporated. And then the other thing is with the dividing wall, the banquet space and the lounge, we do hold events out here that are all 27 holes, massive events that typically we would have to rent a tent and we put it on the driving range. We'll no longer have to do that. We'll be able to open up the doors, utilize the lounge, utilize the banquet space, comfortably seat 200 people inside, and give them a good experience. The golf course that day is shut down anyway because we're using all 27 holes, and Prairie Green's still available. So that's a little bit about the space.
There are 2 areas for leaderboards inside the building. Most likely we'll have a couple on the outside as well for whatever event you're on. If you're on the front 9, the back 9, the east 9, or whatever, you'll be able to clearly identify whether you're in the lead or if you're you can go right to the next hole.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
According to this, it looks terrific. It's going to be quite an improvement for out here. On the other side of the fence is I donated the flag outside. I see there's going to be a flag thing. A lot of people in this room have played this course for 50 or 60 years. I just happen to be one of them. And, the course has changed. Now the clubhouse has changed. And I was wondering if there was some way, and maybe it's going to be in the Hall of Fame, I don't know, that we could recognize something about what Elmwood was kind of before. Maybe a stupid thing, take some of the bricks from this building and build it around the flag, or just something that would represent, 70 years of this course being here.
Yep.
And again, that might be, I don't know, in the Hall of Fame. Is Ed Senior going to be in that Hall of Fame?
He's in it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So
we talked with Chuck. We're at the preliminary discussions. We talked about having a history of Elmwood component to the Hall of Fame. Absolutely.
Okay.
Some of the conversations have been whether it's a vinyl graphic that helps represent that in one of the areas, the flag and the clock, and like you had said, maybe some pavers. All of that is still in discussion, but we're 100% on board and want to do exactly what you're asking, if that makes sense.
Don't be afraid to put QR codes out there either.
Those will be embedded.
Yeah, don't be afraid to use those.
Yep. Technology is a wonderful thing when it works well.
I couldn't tell from the floor plans if there's actual locker rooms or it's just gonna be restrooms.
Correct. There are no locker rooms as part of this facility.
Okay, are there sufficient stalls, toilet stalls? I know even at Prairie Green, it seems like when there's an event, it gets pretty crowded in there with just the few that there are. Are we gonna have more than that available?
Right now, what you have is basically the requirement for the city codes, and anything above and beyond that, the city ought to take under recommendation.
Okay, well, I'm telling you, that might be a really nice thing.
I believe we did look at that and had discussions on that, and I believe we've added more than what Prairie and Elmwood currently have.
Okay, that would be fantastic. It looks like there's drop off for like clubs and then people park, is that true? The drive?
Yes. Yep. First tee will basically operate to where, and I'll let others talk about this too, but where that you'll have multiple drop-off points for the children during those times. But then the ability to drop off. I know a lot of people on a public course don't always do that. Grab their cart, go back out, grab their stuff, and then go. But again, our job is to provide opportunity and flexibility, and so yes, there is a drop-off.
Okay, cool.
Justin, you're not gonna restrict carts into the parking lot, are you?
We don't plan on having to do that, but we'll see what safety first and so on and so forth. But no, preliminary, no, we don't plan on changing that at any of the facilities.
Was there another question up over? Yes, sir.
Yeah, the pro shop area seems to be long and narrow.
I will pull up.
Times to be a little bit congested as opposed to, and maybe it's succeeded because it's so big.
Yeah.
But
I'll
what about that?
I can answer that, and it kind of gets to what Todd had mentioned about kiosks. So the pro shop itself is going to be bigger than what we have, but you're right, it's more retail and it's narrow, counter and such. But our goal with this is to use technology to help season pass holders like yourself, where we'll have kiosks for you to self-check in, and that's going to reduce the amount of traffic at the pro shop counter where there's two check-ins, right?
And that was one of my
It'll
concerns.
expedite the experience for you, the pass holders. You know your way around. We don't need, in most cases, we don't even need to collect money because you've got the pass and the cart pass, so on and so forth. It should work pretty efficiently in that regard, but it's a good observation on the side.
Steve, another piece. Visually, when you're looking at it in the fly-through, it does appear more narrow than it actually is.
Yeah.
That pro shop is bigger than this one right now.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you can kind of see that. I think it comes off that way, even when you're looking at the lounge area as well.
Yeah.
But we were definitely looking at those dimensions because that's the first thing that we saw as well.
Yeah, we call that fisheye a little bit. The technology does that.
The 10-minute tee times help with congestion as well. We've noticed that before.
Thank you. It takes a team to do things well, so we're just here representing a small portion of the entire team that's on the project.
Do you have any idea what color schemes and stuff you're gonna go with, or is that still in the planning stage?
You know, what we're showing is design intent. The final selection of all of that will be vetted extremely thorough. There'll be multiple meetings on those things with city staff. Durability being one of the most important things, cost and budget. And then obviously we want this to look as if it's got history and it's still nice and new, right? So if we went in here with a bunch of neon, it wouldn't be appropriate for Elmwood. Yes, Betty?
What is the total cost?
$80 million. I'm kidding.
Sales tax just went to 9%.
Yeah. California all over again. I'll let you guys.
Our total project budget is $4.5 million. And then there's also a component with the first tee and with the South Dakota Golf Hall of Fame. They're contributing their portions, but the city portion is
Tom's got
$4.5
lights on, buddy. Tom's got lights. Just get Tom's.
Perfect. Let's just talk to Tom afterwards.
Yes,
I have
sir.
a question concerning the square footage of practice greens.
Yes.
How many practice greens will there be? the practice area for hitting full shots. Could you explain that in detail and give us a comparison as to what is available here and what is available at Prairie Green, and how that we can all kind of think about that and understand how much space will be made for those things.
I'll answer from our perspective and the questions and the. Can you hear me okay, sir?
I wish you had a mic.
Basically, what we've done is we've taken the practice green that's out there now, and we've kind of divided that up into smaller practice greens. One right off of the back patio. So for those of you who want to heckle your fellow golf mates, you can do so with a beverage at hole 19. There's another couple other areas, and then once this building has gone away, a larger practice green could potentially go here, but that's where I'll pass the baton off to Justin and the rest of the landscapes team as to what their future goals are.
Yeah. So the putting green that exists by the driving range stays, still a part of the plan. Obviously, the large one here gets sacrificed for the new clubhouse, but as Todd mentioned, there's going to be a small putting green in the staging area or arrival area, and another longer, smaller putting green centered off the clubhouse patio. And in addition, the practice facility, chipping, putting, everything you see near the first tee stays and does not get impacted, nor the fast 5 holes get impacted. That is the most efficient way for us to solve our worry that you brought up with the sacrificing of the large putting green that's used. But we do have that ability when this building gets knocked down to have potential improvements for additional practice facilities, whether it be short game chipping, putting green, so on and so forth, or just have this be green space used for social things. So
I think the important part is enough practice green at the staging area.
Correct. Yeah, that was our main concern. Originally, what we were going to do was wait and when this building got knocked over, build a massive putting green. But we realized with the amount of traffic and the pairing of groups that most people congregate and arrive and they get their key and they're waiting to pair up. So we felt it was imperative for that exact reason, as well as tournaments and shotguns, that the putting greens were conveniently located at the arrival area and nearest the clubhouse.
Staging area.
Correct. Similar to Prairie Green. Similar to Prairie Green, there is the green that is located by the staging area, and then the putting green by the first tee, and an additional putting green out by the driving range at number 10.
Justin, do you think the practice green at the staging area at Prairie Green is adequate at the present time?
Depending on the day, depending on the month, yes and no. But I would say this to answer your question. When it comes to Prairie Green and specifically what's going to be built here, with the driving range, short game area, short golf course, the putting greens that we've talked about, there will not be a better public facility in the state of South Dakota, in my opinion. There just won't be. This is going to be spectacular. It's going to be something that the city and golfers in the community are going to enjoy for decades.
I'll go Terry first, then you, sir.
You projected how long it will take before it's like all the construction is completely finished. I'm curious too, when did this idea first generate? Well, so how long have you been?
Don or Tory, you guys want to address like the starting conversations and how long you've been talking? Did you hear the question?
Yeah, the initial impetus for looking at replacing these facilities is really the fire that we really need to address. The cart storage facility, but we said, hey, we're going to do this. Let's look at all the facilities that we need to replace. knowing that this is an inadequate facility for a 27-hole golf course. And so that was in 2019. And then in the process, we've been working with the mayor and the city council to come up with the money to be able to advance this project as soon as we possibly could. And so recently we had a sales tax surplus come through as a result of sales tax collections that provided us opportunities to invest in the city. And this is one of the projects that the city council approved to be able to advance and use those sales tax surplus dollars. And so once we found out about that, we said, we actually thought we weren't going to get started until next fall. But when the council said, no, we're going to provide the money now, we said, let's go next spring and get the design going. And that's when we brought Todd on. And then as far as construction time frame, I think we're thinking it'll start next spring and then we'll be complete the following spring. Todd, I don't know if there's anything different there.
Will probably take you into the following summer just a little bit based upon what we have for, typically the stuff around the landscaping and those kinds of things are done at the end, but these guys are going to be on top of that early. So, you're probably looking at a 14-month construction schedule. I think that's what our current schedule is right now, Tory. Starting as soon as we can next spring. Yes, sir.
One is congratulations on it. Thank you to the city for the support. It's been much needed for a while. It's nice that you're tying in the first tee and the Hall of Fame. They both need their own home, in my opinion. So kudos to the city for supporting the project. Two questions. The restaurant will be open all year long. And second, do you anticipate doing other events like weddings and things like that in the new facility?
To answer your question, yes. It's not going to primarily be a restaurant that's going to be open 7 days a week from 10:30 in the morning until 2 a.m. That's not who we are, but we do recognize that it's going to be a nice facility. Our primary focus is on the golfers and providing food and beverage for the golfers, but we will certainly pick our spots like we do at Prairie Green. The banquet room will be utilized for graduation parties, social events, retirement parties, weddings, when it makes sense. So to answer your question, it's not going to be a full-service, full-scale restaurant per se, but we're going to have the abilities to provide much more than what we currently do at any of our facilities now, courses now.
So the design team asked a lot of those same questions, and I think where we all ended up with is let's give them the opportunity to do whatever they wish to do in the future. Yes, sir.
What's the difference in square footage between the old facility and the new facility?
I knew you were going to ask that question. Roz, do we have numbers on the previous one and the current one?
I don't know the previous. Council's about 55 for the previous.
It's roughly, so the new clubhouse will be about 9,000 square feet. This is probably in the 5,500 square feet range. So a definite size improvement for sure.
During the construction process, what do you anticipate for parking lot issues? Will that be smaller than it is now?
I guess typically we have a staging area for a contractor. What we can do is we'll be working as we can finish the construction documents and determine where that staging area is and how much area they get. So I know it's a priority of everybody in this room to ensure that parking is not an issue for you during construction, but it might mean that one of the other areas or one of the Fast Five or something like that gets utilized. But we have not gotten that far down in reference to means and methods for the contractor during construction on site.
Yeah, I might add to that. We're definitely working on that. We're going to look to try to utilize as many of the green spaces that aren't in play for laydown areas, but we probably will have to sacrifice a little bit of parking for some of the contractor equipment and materials and stuff. But again, I think Todd's right. We're trying to maximize how many parking stalls we have for next summer because it's a busy place.
If we utilize a local contractor, they typically have a yard here locally too, and they don't have to travel very far. So there's a cost, a yin and a yang, to allowing them to have flexibility on site. or the extra cost of them having to store it somewhere else and bring it to the site during construction does cost dollars. So it's a give and a take. Any other questions, concerns?
What's the orientation of that patio as far as the wind and the direction?
So like I said before, it's staked out here on the green.
Okay.
And you can go look at it right now. You'll see the two longer pieces are the patio towards the 18th green and the front of the building towards the parking lot.
Okay.
And we'll have somebody out there kind of showing you in reference to that too if anybody has any questions out there. Summer winds, in the summer we predominantly get northwest southeast winds. The southeast warm will be behind you, so the patio will be protected. There is no direct sunlight on the patio. It does face north to northwest. So again, all of those have been taken into consideration in reference to solar heat gain on any of the windows and direct glare for events as the sun is setting. All of that has been taken into consideration as part of the layout and the angle of the facility.
Cool.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there going to be anything, I don't maybe show this, but the outdoor patio area, is there going to be any way you can make that so it's enclosed somehow? So if it's raining, it's not raining in on that area?
Right now we have
still used?
We have very large overhangs in that area. We don't have it enclosed, but you know, that's something we can take into consideration, and I'll put it in my notes.
There's large open doors too, right? They could act as
Correct.
Any questions for Tom and Julie in the back at all about any of their spaces that they plan on? I might mention too is that we're working on agreements between the First Tee and Tom's group to essentially a gifting agreement that would, you know, gift these improvements to the city, realizing that it's their space and they'll get a long-term use agreement to be able to use that space for the First Tee, the Hall of Fame, and so anyway, just following city processes as it relates to that. But we're excited about having them as partners on this project. Love the idea of introducing the youth to the game and growing the game of golf here in Sioux Falls, and they do a great job in both the respective areas, and been great to work with so far. And I know they have a little fundraising to do, so if you're interested in that, I'm sure they'd love to talk to you. Any other questions? Todd, great job on the event. If you have questions, we'll be around on these boards after we break here. But thanks for coming out. If you have questions or comments I left the meeting and I forgot to bring something up, feel free to shoot Justin an email or Todd or myself or Tory. Feel free to give us your feedback. Obviously, we're trying to make this a great facility that people really be able to enjoy it and help drive revenue, drive membership, so that we can continue to invest in our city courses and make your experience a good one whenever you come out. So thanks for coming, and feel free to stay around. Steve, do you have another one?
Yeah, I just make a comment. It's hard if you live here to understand from looking from the outside in what an amazing city this is for its size and all the remarkable things that it has. And this brings this place up to the standards that the rest of the city has. And it's marvelous.
Great, thank you.
I tell people a lot, to really understand and enjoy Sioux Falls, you have to move away and then come back.
Well, we don't want any more people moving here.
No, that's why they have to come back. Well, moving here.
They can move here, they just can't ask for tea times.
Right.
Well, put those people in Nebraska.
Thanks again for coming, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.